All right, today we're going to tear down a piece of political media that went viral and then got absolutely shredded online. We're going to look at the claims made in a video by the Meidas Network, and then we're going to turn right around and look at the intense, immediate critique it got from viewers. Okay, let's jump right in.
So the video we're digging into today kicks off with this very personal sounding fundraising email that's attributed to Donald Trump. It's the hook they use to build this whole narrative about his state of mind, his campaign's tactics, and honestly, it just sets the stage for some even wilder claims to come.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about this so-called 1 a.m. meltdown. Then we get to the huge allegation about the Epstein files. After that, we're going to pivot hard to the online critique. Dive into the whole debate over what's news and what's just clickbait, and then see what this whole mess tells us about the world we live in now. Okay, so let's start with the video's main argument, this whole idea of a late-night meltdown.
The narrator from Meidas basically paints a picture. It's 1 in the morning, and they're pointing to these posts about polls and those really weird fundraising emails as proof of someone just ranting like a lunatic. This is the whole foundation of their argument, that these messages are a direct pipeline into his mental state.
And then, the video really cranks it up a notch. It doesn't just critique the fundraising tactics, which apparently can double a donation without you really knowing it. It goes so far as to call it elder abuse, a flat-out scam targeting his own base. But look, those fundraising emails, that's just the appetizer. The main course of this video is a genuinely explosive claim, and it's all tied to the Jeffrey Epstein case. Okay, so here it is. This is the absolute core of the video's bombshell. The narrator claims that their network found a draft press release from Donald Trump's own Department of Justice announcing Jeffrey Epstein's death. But it's the timing of it all that makes this so shocking. And there it is. That's the mic drop moment of the whole video. They claim the draft was written up on a Friday, but Epstein was officially pronounced dead on Saturday. This detail is presented as the smoking gun, the one piece of evidence that the official story is just wrong. And here's the evidence they put on screen. On the left, you've got what they say is the draft from Friday, August 9th. It just says Epstein was pronounced dead. But on the right, the official release from Saturday the 10th, which adds that key phrase, of an apparent suicide. The implication they're making is pretty clear. The story was already written, they just had to fill in the details later. To really sell this idea, the video then weaves in all these other details that have been circulating about the case for years. You know, a supposed noose that was never found, crucial camera footage that got deleted, and a convicted murderer being moved near Epstein right before he died. So those are the huge claims, right? A late-night meltdown and a massive conspiracy. You'd think people would be all over this, but when this video actually hit the internet, and specifically when it was posted on Reddit, the reaction was not exactly what the creators might have been hoping for. So let's flip the script. Time for the critique. Let's look at that immediate online backlash from the Reddit thread where this all went down. Right out of the gate, the comments were just brutal. This one is short, sweet, and to the point, calling the whole outlet garbage clickbait. No punches pulled. And that feeling just gets echoed over and over. This user doesn't mince words either. They're basically saying, sure, Trump is awful, but this kind of stuff isn't helping anyone. This comment really gets to the heart of it. For a lot of these users, it wasn't just dislike. It was an active, conscious effort to avoid this content creator. That says a lot about reputation and trust, doesn't it? So all of this negative feedback really gets us to the core argument that was happening in these comments. Where is the line between passionate political commentary and just sensationalist clickbait? And you can see the two sides forming right here. On one hand, you have a user defending Meidas saying, hey, these are former Republican insiders who know their stuff, they're not just random internet people. But on the other side, someone argues the total opposite, that this is influencer news, and the over-the-top tone just kills any credibility it might have had. The discussion also got really specific, right down to those initial fundraising emails. One user points out, pretty obviously, that Trump is not sitting up at 1 a.m. personally typing these things out. But another user comes back with a fantastic point. If that's true, why is our whole system of political messaging built on this fake personal touch? And at what point does that become predatory, especially when you're asking for money? This whole episode, the viral claim, the instant backlash, it pushed some people to zoom out and think about the much, much bigger picture of media, trust, and truth today. This question from a Redditor just nails the paradox of our time. I mean, think about it. We have these little devices in our hands that can access all of human knowledge. And yet, somehow, that same technology seems to have thrown us headfirst into an era of total confusion and distrust. And here's the result of that, put perfectly by another user. When the line between a professional journalist and a passionate YouTuber gets blurry and there's no clear referee to tell you who to believe, what happens? For a lot of us, the default setting just becomes distrusting everything. The whole thing starts to feel unreliable. So this fight between Meidas Touch and its own potential audience isn't really about one video. It's a snapshot of a much bigger struggle we're all in. And it leaves us with this huge, fundamental question for our time. In a world where anyone can broadcast to millions, who gets to be the journalist? And maybe more importantly, who do we trust to be the judge?